Alright, so we are going to get started on build number 1, which is an A10 Warthog. I'm hoping the sound quality is going to be a little bit better today than the first video. I'm using a GoPro because I'm just starting this and haven't got anything a little bit higher quality for this kind of setup, so GoPro is what we have. So let's see, we're starting with the A10 Warthog, obviously, it's in front of you, this big nice shiny box art in front of you. What can we say about the A10 that hasn't been said a million times before? A plane designed around the gun, not really a replaceable airframe, and yet still an aging airframe, so plenty of problems with it. Let's see, while I figure out what step 1 is going to be, let's talk about it a little bit. A10, they actually just finished their first set of re-winging programs, so a lot of the A10s have brand new wings on them. A10's gun, the Avenger, fires a bullet with its casing that's about the size of a standard beer bottle for those adults of you are out there, and those of you who are, well, not adults, it's probably about the size of your forearm. Relatively large. Actually, it's extremely large. It's the largest gun we have in an airframe that's not an AC-130. So let's see, as you can see, we have got the pilot and the cockpit to start off with. I typically don't build with pilots or people in the aircraft. I'm not a huge fan of that. I usually like to do my aircraft with the landing gear down, sitting on the ground as if they were parked nice and orderly, especially at work, which is where I keep most of them. So we're going to start with the cockpit. Cockpits are fairly controversial for some build videos. I've seen a lot of people go above and beyond with details. I know there's a company named Edouard. They also make kits, but they make photo etch parts for their cockpits. I'm not that deep into this hobby, so I will not be putting on any photo etch. In fact, I've never actually done it, so let's see. I think this is, yep, 71. 71's right there. Alright, let's start getting these cut out. If you have a desk like me, I highly recommend doing a styrofoam layer down. It makes it a little bit nicer so you don't poke through your wood. Right here, X-Acto plate, see how it goes. Easy way to do this is with a little set of dikes, but mine have gone for a walk, I think. So I'm going to do this by hand and with the X-Acto knife. It's funny, actually, one of my friends watched the first video and said that it was painful how many times I said the word during that video, especially after pointing it out. So I'm going to try and not say it, but actively trying not to say these things is an experience in and amongst itself. So this is a Revell kit, which is becoming painfully obvious right now. So how I'm going to start this, I've got the cockpit base. God, there it goes again. Got the cockpit base. I'm going to add all the components for the seat, so the back, two sides, not the joystick yet. I will probably do the joystick by itself because it's going to require a different color on the grip than the length of the stick itself. I will be putting in the panel though. I'm just debating the best way to do the panel. It actually looks like it's going to be a relatively quick build, honestly. I will film today until either my fiance gets out or gets home from work, or the camera runs out of memory. So we'll jump right in. I'm not going to waste too much time showing off the kit. It's a pretty generic kit, honestly. Got your fuselage and your wings on one panel, and you got your armament on another. Let's see. We'll talk about the A10 a little bit more. The gun is about the size of a 1960s Volkswagen. That's relatively large, actually. The nose landing gear of the A10 is offset to allow extra room for the gun in the gun bay. The A10 actually has a tighter turning radius on the ground in one direction than the other because of this. The engines are mounted, I believe it's a 9-degree angle. 9-degree angle. Let's see, are we up or down? I think it's down. No, I think it's up. I lied. I think the tail of the gun, or tail of the engine points up slightly, and that's to counteract the eccentric thrust because the engines are mounted higher than the center of gravity. The A-10 can fly with half of its empennage missing, which would be the horizontal and vertical stabilizers for you non-aircraft nerds out there that for some reason are watching this video. Again, I'm muttering, I'm trying to stop that. So, with half the empennage missing, the A-10 can still fly. I believe it can also fly with half of an entire wing missing, which, man, that's, can you imagine that coming in for a landing, plane missing half of its empennage and half of a wing? It didn't take a whole lot off of there. Don't do this at home, kids. It's one of those do as I say, not as I do, and I'm sure if any parents out there ever get wind of me doing this, they're not going to be too happy about their kid copying me. So, kids, always cut away from yourselves. I unfortunately did not start that habit as a kid, despite being yelled at multiple times, so I'm going to continue to do it the way I do it. So the reason I say this is painfully becoming a Revell kit is on the edges where they injection molded the part. Revell, some of their tooling leaves a good little bit on the edge, so you have to sand it off. Nail file, there we go with the arms. Nail files work fairly well. It's actually probably the best practice because you get a nice straight sanding surface. I have this sandpaper folded over so many times I'm essentially getting the same thing. This is, I think this is 400 grit, so it's something nice and gentle, not going to take off too much material. I just want to get rid of that burr from the sprue. I'm going to touch this. Crap. I say that cockpits are fairly controversial because there's a lot of modelers out there, as I was saying earlier, who go above and beyond on their quality in the cockpit to the point where you can read some of the gauges. At 1/48 scale, your gauges are not very large here. I don't know if you can see this because I don't have a live display, but it's a little small, and I don't know if I want to go into that much quality. So realistically, my limit on cockpits is I'll occasionally get a toothpick out and do some finer points like needles and buttons in some different colors. You have those modelers out there that go and research pictures of the cockpits and get reference photos and put all the buttons in the correct colors. I will probably try and do a couple more buttons in the correct colors this time, but I'm not going to go crazy with it. I don't spend a whole lot of time at work looking at my planes to begin with, but when I'm deep in thought, I don't spend a whole lot of time sitting looking at my models at the inside of the cockpits. And when I'm looking at the models I have at home, I definitely don't look at the cockpits very often. So I tend to do more work on the outside, but hey, this is a hobby. This is what you want it to be. So by all means, if you want to go above and beyond for your cockpit, go ahead, be my guest. But I don't personally. I don't see the value in it too much. So I'll go ahead and do this. Some more on the A-10. A-10 is made by Fairchild? Maybe it's made by Fairchild. We took over Republic, which built the original P-47. I said it again. P-47, of course, being the Thunderbolt 1, the A-10 being the Thunderbolt 2. Coincidence? I don't think so. The A-10 was named in honor of the P-47, the Jug, if you will. I actually have one at the side of the desk right now. It's all too fitting. So, the glue out. This glue is great because it works pretty well, but for some reason I have to hold this bottle upside down for like 10 minutes to get the glue to flow out nicely. And once it's coming out, it's nice and controllable, but for the rest of that time, it's just infuriating. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave, actually I should probably test fit these parts first. Have a look at them. has seat belts on it. I typically like to do seat belts with a little bit of tape. And I will probably do that as well on this. I won't be doing that yet. I think with the seat and the ejection seat in, however, I will be able to get to, well, it would help if I turned it the right way around, wouldn't it? See, yeah, I'll be able to get to that panel quite nicely. So I will just go ahead and keep doing what I'm doing. And which way around are we? One of these has the handle on it. There it is. So, one piece, two piece, three piece. Okay, we're going to see how this works out when I put it in. The ejection seat handles are one of the actual really quick ways to improve the quality in your cockpit. Most of them are yellow and black striped. The aircraft I work on is yellow and black stripes. That's ejection seat. And said it again. I swear, I promise to you, I am trying not to. But it's the more you think about it, the more it goes away. It's like if I tell you don't think about pink elephants. Well, what are you thinking about right now? Pink elephants. What's going on here? What is that? Oops. Hold on, I got something in my glue. And I just turned it right side up, which means I gotta wait another 10 minutes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the panel first, and then I'm going to put the seat in, and then I'm going to airbrush it and make a nice mess of this lovely white styrofoam board that is overhanging my desk, and that's why I keep breaking it. That makes a lot more sense. So I'm going to keep trying to work this glue to get it out. See how it works big close to the camera. There we go, there's some. Okay, so I'm going to put the panel in first. Actually, I'm going to touch down the back here. I'm only going to glue the back here. I'm not going to worry about the sides too much. It's kind of the whole, whatever it takes to hold it in, don't go crazy. Generally with building these things, the less glue and less adhesive you can use, the better. So try not to use too much, especially when you're doing your canopies. Highly recommend you leave them in their bags completely sealed up until the point where you need them. I do not apply canopies until the absolute last minute. I don't want them near the part or the plane. I don't want to paint them. I don't want to. This stuff will fog them up, and you don't want that to happen. It does not. That's backwards. It does not look good. Helps if you follow the instructions. So we have this way around, ejection seat, or ejection seat handle. This looks wrong to me. This looks backwards. It is backwards. Okay, it makes me feel a little bit better. So I'm going to touch some glue in there, touch some glue in there. When I airbrush it, you won't even be able to tell. I'm not going crazy with it. I'm going to drop this part of the seat down as well. Being fully conscious that the seat back has not dried. This is actually fairly finicky. The instructions should have been a little bit better on this. But hey, you at home that are doing this now know. Put the seat sides in before you put the seat back in. Let's see how this is going to work. Come on, there we go. Okay, one. Flip you upside down and around. Do you have a burr on you? You do have a burr on you. Let's get rid of that. So just trim the edge there slightly, get rid of that burr. Now we're going to spray the whole cockpit essentially black to start out with. Then we'll start adding some detail. We'll do some dry brush silvering, which really helps your cockpit to pop. It's from wear and tear. Trust me, the A-10 is a very, very well used aircraft. She's an old girl. What else can we talk about with the A-10? I'm not entirely sure. I know they've been trying to replace the aircraft for a while, and basically Congress keeps turning around and saying, nope, we are not going to fund you for any replacements. Make sure you take care of your A-10s. Keep some pressure there. It's not going together really 100% very well there. So that would be why. It's interesting. It looks like it should go together on the back, but it definitely won't. Just looking at it. Okay, so there we go. There's our seat. That's what we've got. Interesting design. Make sure it's pressed down. Okay, so that's what we're going to start out with for our cockpit. So as you can see, the next step would be, once the cockpit's finished, to put the fuselage together. However, what we can do is we can actually be a bit bad and we can jump ahead slightly. Can't do that, can't do the landing gear bay until the fuselage is together. Also, I want to do some details on that while it's still out of the aircraft. You can get some good realism with it out of the aircraft, and then prime it. So landing gear bays on military aircraft are generally white for the U.S. aircraft, and I think we can get some good realism and get some good effects on it by building it out of the aircraft and then installing it. But we're going to test fit that first and see how it goes, because it may not go well. So I think what we're going to touch on next is actually the engines, the TF-34 engines. So let me get that out. These are some out. Break the kit up. Oh, you want the kit box up? Nope. Nope. Kind of? Yeah. There they are. So, for a Level 4 kit, this kit's actually relatively sparse. I'm kind of surprised. I built this kit once when I was a kid. By kid, I mean probably 12 or 13, so not that small. I'm just going to trim the tape here because this is annoying me how tight it is to move around. Let's get a fuselage opened up. Okay, and get the housing off. I'm going to be a little bit careful with the engine housing because it might require some filling, and I'm definitely going to require some test fitting to the fuselage. Come on. Come on. Nope, you're just going to be stubborn with me here, huh? Alright, there we go. Again, be careful. Do not advise this as the best technique, but it is the one I'm using for today. Dikes work a lot better, and I will attempt to find mine by the time I work on this for the next video, which I think the next time I'm going to record is Thursday. Okay, so that's that. I need the two cones, which are right there. Two nozzles, rather, not cones. Go ahead and get this out. Okay, this isn't going to work. Plastic's too thick, so I'm going to work it back and forth slightly. Again, dikes would be the best option. Okay. Yep. Yep. Get out of the way. 1, 2, done. Okay. I actually do not have all the parts. Where is the other side? Oh no, I do. Just kidding. I think in the future videos I'll just have myself cut out while I take parts off the screws so you don't have to see my barbaric ways of doing this. There we go. There's all the engine parts separated. I promise all the squeaking of sprues is now done. Now it's just the squeaking of sanding. isn't terrible. These are actually in pretty good shape. This is going to be up against the engine surround, so I don't really have to worry about scratching the surface too much. It's a pretty good habit to get into, is understanding how your parts are bonded together and where your finish matters and where it doesn't. For example, these, I don't mind some light scratching on the outsides because when you put them into the housings, you know, they sit like relatively like that. I'm not actually pushed in all the way there, which is why it doesn't look quite right. There we go. So yeah, you don't see the outside of the housing, so don't have to worry about it too much. But the front of it is exposed. So if I put too much scratching in there, I'm going to have to touch it with some fill or give it a little extra blast with the airbrush to make sure it looks right. So we're going to get the engine put together, and then I'm going to stop for today. And pick this up on Thursday. You all will not notice a jump, or you might notice a jump, but not in the progress on this thing. I made a mess of this one, to be honest with you. But it'll be inside the engine nozzle, or inside the engine housing. Let me trim it a little bit. Again, be careful when using an X-Acto, always cut away from yourself. Try to get as much of it off as possible. Okay. Oh, cats are meowing. Okay, we're going to actually get this pretty much flush and perfect, because you will be able to see this from outside the, or from while viewing the aircraft, you'll be able to see these. So I want them as smooth as I can get them, and then paint will do the rest. Don't always rely on your vision of the surface to tell you if it's smooth or not. Plastic occasionally, residual stress in plastic, which I know that sounds really nerdy sentence. When plastic gets stressed, it starts to turn white. So if you put any residual stress in, you know, by twisting it, which is what I did, you'll get a little bit of discoloration to the plastic. Plastic itself is fine, but you'll see some discoloration, and don't rely on that to tell you it's smooth. Actually touch it. That'll let you know. Imagining by the time I've got 3 or 4 of these things built on video, I'm going to look back at this video and cringe. And that'll give me an excuse to do another A10 and delete this into the abyss of nothing. Let's see, the A10 has flown in full mech reversion mode before, which is the mechanical flight control backup for the aircraft. There was one during the Iraq War. I believe it was hit by an RPG. I read this story a long time ago, so you're going to have to take it with a grain of salt. It was hit with an RPG and lost its hydraulic power. And the pilot stayed right where he was supposed to be patrolling with the aircraft in mech mode. So flying it old-fashioned way with cables and stick. Okay, that's those 2 done. Now for these guys. I think the way we're going to do this is we're going to get these ready, and we're going to put them in the lower half, let it set, and then put the upper half on, because I'm going to trial fit it first, and as I do that, I'll be able to tell how much adjustment anything needs. Got arrows on them. Okay, arrows go down according to the instruction manual. Handy to know. Thank you, Ravel. Something else interesting, the A-10's landing gear, the main landing gear, actually protrudes from the bottom of the aircraft when it's retracted. The reason, of course, or the reason being that if the hydraulics on the aircraft are damaged and the pilot cannot put the landing gear down, has to make a belly landing, it actually keeps the aircraft off the ground, which means that he doesn't damage the fuselage. All we have to do is lift the aircraft back onto its landing gear, fix what broke in the hydraulics, and then he gets to go flying again. So, pretty smart, to be honest, pretty smart. Okay, this one seems really loose. No, it's not set right. There we go. Better. One seems loose. This one seems. What is this? This seems fine. Arrows down for this kit. Okay, that doesn't fit very well, so that might pose a challenge. I might have to touch that a little bit more. So for now, oh yeah, that's rocking and rolling. What is it, little guy? What? I don't know if you can hear him. He's going crazy. Oh goodness. Okay, I don't think this is quite slotting into the section where it's supposed to, and I think that's what our problem is. Yeah, I think that's our problem. Okay, either way. I can check the right-hand side. I'm going to cut this because it's likely to tear if I try to twist it up. Try to avoid twisting these off because plastic will tear. You'll have a chunk missing, you're going to have to fill it, and you're going to hate every single second of sanding all of that filler that you're going to have to put on it. Plus you can lose some features. I'm doing it again. Don't cut towards yourself, Aiden. Okay. Got a nice little brush. And this is the left side. They're on there backwards. Okay, away from ourselves. Try to promote some good habits. If anyone young is watching this. Okay. Touch the edge. Again here. Edge. Everything should be alright there. And we are going to, that's actually, no, I was wrong the first time. This is the correct side. Wow, okay, I definitely need to sand that. And yep, it fell over. This could get interesting. Arrow down, did that. Don't fit very well, but let's try it again. I just want to make sure it fits. Okay, it definitely fits inside, and that's what I'm concerned with. So for now, it's fine. I do need to sand this. I'm actually going to trim it first, and then I'll sand it. I don't go too crazy here. Now, on some of the cheaper Revell kits, they don't like recessing their panel lines. This one has a kind of a mix. It's kind of interesting, actually. So this one has a recessed line, but the rest of these lines are not recessed. So what eventually, once I've got this built up, I'm actually going to go in and sand that down nice and smooth and flat to the point where I've destroyed pretty much all of the lines, and I'm going to go over carefully with a knife, different blades than this, and recess those lines so I can put some panel line accent in there and make some details pop. Additionally, it gives us the realism that I haven't seen an aircraft that has a raised panel line before, so if anyone has, by all means let me know. Not quite. Okay. Down there. Down there. Come on. Little piece of plastic stuck in there. Lift it out. You'll do for now. Okay, we are going to go over this. Actually, let's get a chunk cut out of it. Does this have a recess on it? No, it does not. Okay. Might just be for its contact for the glue. Let's bring this up. Cannot stress this enough. If you're going to film, you need so much light. It's absurd the amount of light you need. Actually, I have a buddy that runs a 3D printing channel, and he was telling me the same thing as he was demanding I start filming these. Oop. So, okay, here we go. Then, there's one. Oh, it's still not. Where did that go? There's two. Okay, we gotta touch. This side was the side that I think really worked well. I'm gonna touch all 3 points. Yep, that side looks well, or works well. Now we're gonna touch these parts. Arrow goes down. It's in, touches that one, doesn't touch that side. Okay. Can carefully adjust that because it doesn't touch the sides too well. It looks like it's a little bit too narrow, which did not oversand it. Okay, we're going to leave that like that for now. Come back to it and clean it up later. Okay, this has set now, so we are going to go ahead and get started closing up the engine nacelles. Let's see, we got to put the nozzles on still. It's not really clear about how the nozzles go on. I may actually need to look up a picture of them. Unless I can find a picture in the instructions. Actually, no. They only go on one way, don't they? Yeah, they only go on this way around. They have alignment tabs. They got a smaller tab on the bottom than they do on the top. That tab actually has a protrusion next to it, so that's not the greatest. I'm also wondering if I should... Maybe I should paint these nozzles first and paint the interior of the engine nacelles. I think I'm actually going to do that. Probably would be the best option here. S and F and S. Okay. So look at what our paint colors are supposed to be. S. Steel. Okay. I actually have a fairly good recipe for that. It's Alclad. So what I'll typically do is mix up a little bit of black paint. I use Tamiya paints. So I mix up a little bit of flat black, and then I'll pour Alclad in there. In this case, though, I think we're actually going to do a flat gray, maybe. Let's try a flat gray. I'm going to try a flat gray. Get the thinner out, we'll get the airbrush on. That part will hopefully cut the sound out of. We'll see. Depends on how cooperative the software is being. I used to edit my videos. Let's get ready to paint. I was hoping to keep the styrofoam a little bit cleaner for a little bit longer, but it looks like that is a pipe dream. So, let's go ahead and get the airbrush ready. I'm still, wow, you're actually still wet. Okay. You still got water in it. Paint somewhere. Where did that just come from? Not disturbing. Okay, we're gonna throw some thinner through this first and see if it sprays. I did clean it before I put it away. Sorry, I did clean it before I put it away. I am very curious to see how clean it actually is if I'm able to get paint on my hands without noticing. Let's throw some thinner through it. Before we do anything else, I'm actually going to have to go get a paper towel. Okay, let's put some thinner through the airbrush to see how we are. See how we're spraying. Looks about right. Yeah, it's working just fine. Okay, what did we say? We're going to do a little bit of flat gray for this, and then we're going to touch it. Put a little bit of alclad in there. See how we do. I think it'll come out well. This is the kind of experiment I like doing with these models. I mean, a little bit of gray. Like a drop of gray. Maybe two. Let's do two. Just to give it some color to start with. I did an F4 Phantom like this, and it actually turned out quite nicely on the exhausts. The Phantom has the exposed heat shielding back there. I really like the way that came out, actually. Okay, alclad. Gonna be a little bit liberal with this one. We're gonna use a eyedropper that works, though. That would be a good start. There we go. Get it mixed up nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the base coat down on this, and then I'm going to assemble it, and then when we put it together and do all the finish painting, I will weather it in. So let's see how this goes. Come on, open up. There we go. Okay, let's get this down. I'm going to do the exposed areas of engine. Whoop. What are we doing here? Come on. Why do I still have paint coming out with the needle fully inserted? That would be why. It wasn't fully inserted. Okay, let's test this again. Always test your airbrushes, people. Always. Yeah, we're working now. Okay, so. Gently. It's going to be a little tricky to see this color being applied. But it will be there. So you're just gradually going to build it up. I'm going to pull the airbrush compressor off my desk leg. It's just irritating. Gradually just build it up. There's that nice shiny effect. And we're actually out of it already. So, mixing out a second batch. A little bit bigger this time, for obvious reasons. Finish the thinner. Do not just put raw paint through an airbrush. You will spend the rest of your life cleaning it. And even then it probably won't work correctly. I need to shake this. Start to separate. Okay. So even now you can see the slight difference. You can see the slight difference between the more steel color, nacelle interior and the regular base plastic. Trust me, even though it's gray, doesn't mean it's going to look the best if you just leave it untouched. There's actually always been a debate with me on building like the SR-71 or the F-117 Nighthawk, because they're black, and a lot of their kits come with black plastic, which is very interesting to me. Because a lot of people, what people will do is they'll prime them white, and then respray them black, and I always thought it was a waste of time, but the more I get into this, the more I understand why. Because it's so hard to see the surface textures and details when it's black. So by priming it white, you can see all the imperfections and smooth them out before you spray it its final black color and get it looking all nice. Excuse my phone. Okay, so there's the L-cladded nacelles. So I'll do a second coat in here. I'm actually going to do the fans on the back side a different color. On the front side we'll do them steel. Now these guys, the interior says to do them black. I will probably match the color of the turbine when I do the insides, but the outside they're going to be a steel color on the actual aircraft. So I'm going to use a little trick if I can get it to work. Yeah, nope, maybe. Yeah, that'll work. Hold it with a pair of tweezers. Back and forth. All the way around. Okay, one. Two. I think that's all of our paint. Works out well. Yep. Okay, now with airbrushing, there is one very, very obvious technique that people seem to overlook fairly frequently, and that is start with your lighter colors and work darker. So now that we've done the engines, at least for that part, we're going to let that dry a little bit. So far it looks actually quite good. I like that. I like the way that came out. We'll touch the turbine a little bit, get the heat effect on there with a little bit of a darker color. So now we've done that, I'm actually going to spread black on the cockpit that we constructed. So, make a shake. What is that? That is a piece of plastic from somewhere. Okay. There we go. I actually have a little bit of overshot glue, so I'm going to sand that really quickly. The reason I like to use sandpaper instead of nail files is you can get the shapes to get into anywhere. Sometimes nail files just will not do it. They won't do the trick. Sandpaper usually does. Okay, so that's our base cockpit ready to go. We do not have the stick in there yet. That is the only part we are missing from the cockpit. So let's go ahead and get thinner set up. Not spraying a whole lot, so I only want a couple of drops of thinner. Pop that in there. I think I had a black. Did I have one of these for black? I thought I did. That one's for white. Nope, I didn't. Okay, we'll use the gray one. For a black. Generally, it's okay to reuse eyedroppers as long as you're waiting a while between using them, so the paint inside them dries, and eventually they do become useless because they're full of paint. Or these ones are really cheap actually. I think I got these at Michael's and they suck. There is no way around saying that they are not good. The plastic quality is really low. They split open. Not durable at all. Okay. And this one's having a hard time picking up paint, so I think this one's about done. We generally mix it in the airbrush with the thinner and the base coat, or top coat I should say. And I just mix it by squeegeeing it in and out of the eyedropper. Okay. Back in the drawer, nope, that's the big one, it won't fit. So, how do I hold this? I'm going to hold it with a pair of, come on, can I roll forward? Thank you. Hold it with a pair of forceps actually. Right behind the panel. Okay. All right. That was to be expected. Just slide down in here and grab it. Okay, so our base coat of black is down. Nice light dusting. And now I've got a ton of black paint left over. Excellent. Exactly what I wanted. Sarcasm intended. What else do we have that's black on this aircraft? Wheels? Tires, not the wheels. I really want to do that now, though. I don't really think I do. I'm glad I saw that. Okay, so top tip with some of the cheaper kits, especially tricycle landing, well, only tricycle landing gear like the A10. This piece right here, number 98, that I'm pointing out, slots into the tail, and it's a clear piece. Actually right here above the canopy. That is to support the tail of the aircraft when it's seated on its landing gear, because this kit is tail heavy. So what you're going to want to do is get some lead fishing weights, and when you're putting the fuselage together, drop it in the nose. So just glue it in, putty it in, whatever you're going to do, put it in the nose. That way it sits nicely, sits correctly, and you don't have to put that piece in, which is just a waste of time and quality, honestly. The gun, actually. Also, if I'd learned how to read, it would tell me, or it tells you, add a small weight inside the nose for proper balance before cementing fuselage halves together. Okay, so black is F. The gun is not black, it's gunmetal, of course. There was a fuselage section. Okay, there is a part of the fuselage that is black. Let's go ahead and knock it out now. Right there inside that door. On the, is it the right hand side? Yep, found it. Is it also on the left? There it says, nope. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and knock that out as well so I don't waste all of that paint. Use some nice painter's tape, 3M. Around the outside of the door. Now eventually with this kit, I will be speeding up quite a bit because the panel lines are raised as we've discussed before, and I'm going to have to go and recess them by sanding them flat and then running over them with a blade. So that I will not speak through, but I also will not do it right now. Because if I was going to show it in real time, you'd see me sitting here for about 6 hours doing it. It's an absolute nightmare situation. That'll probably work for now. It doesn't have to be 100% coverage. Okay. Same with most paint. Once you've sprayed it, get that tape off. And it went drying to the tape and then peeling off with you. So that'll work. The rest of the aircraft we're actually going to prime when the time comes. Stop saying Aiden. Stop saying Whoops. Drop that. Place it gently. Okay, I don't think there's anything else for us to paint, so it's going in the discard. And I am actually going to cheat very slightly here, because one of the benefits of airbrushing is your paint dries relatively quickly. So the engines are actually probably done at this point, or cured enough to the point where I can spray something over the top of them, or the next layer, if you will. So we're going to leave some of the black down at the bottom there. Hopefully it will mix. If not, we'll touch it up. We're going to drop some more alclad in and get a darker shade of alclad. No, that's not the one I want. This is what I want. And that darker shade of alclad is what we're going to use to simulate the thermal end of the engine. So the forward end of your jet engines is relatively cold. or relatively close to room temperature, atmospheric temperature, what have you. Just a little bit, not too much. The rest back. So the Ford in the engine is actually relatively cool. You can touch it while it's running, it's not going to burn you. The aft end of the engine, the business end, is what you do not want to touch while it's running. And so a lot of engine nozzles on aircraft are titanium to handle the heat. Well, titanium discolors when it gets really hot, so does steel. I mean, every metal does to a degree. It just depends on which metal and which temperature you're running at. So steel and titanium they don't discolor until they get nice and hot. So what we're going to do is we're going to dust that on. I'm going to bump down the pressure on the airbrush. Bump down the pressure so I got a bit more control over it. Ooh, why did we do that? There we go. A bit more control. I'm going to open the airbrush slightly, not much. Give us a nice dusting of thermal effect to it. Okay, let's get a little bit more pressure. That's full pressure. That's better. And very gently open. Actually a little dark, but it'll work. Let's see how it turns out on these. We're going to be very careful on these because we're going to see these. Okay, let's see if we can get a decent side by side. You're not going to be able to see it very well. Let me lay this one down actually and see if it will rest. And I'll hold this one from the inside. Can't really see very well from that angle. I don't actually know if you can see to begin with. Yeah, it's probably better. So that's got a little bit of flakiness on it. Or not flakiness, a little bit of speckled coloring on it. That's exactly what I want. Open very gently and turn. This one a little bit more. I'm just going to go back over this one. It's all about finding the balance. Don't be afraid to try something. I can always spray it back gray. It didn't take me that long. That's about perfect and about what I want. I'm actually going to go back in and touch this again. Go all around the engine. The engines are dirty. Don't be afraid to make them look that way. That actually will probably give you the best view. Whoop. Okay, that's our engines painted. And actually not that much paint left, which is good. I like that. It came out pretty well. should mention that this aircraft is actually, you know what, let's do the stick with this, because that'll look good. While I get the stick, I should mention, this aircraft is not actually for me. I'm not building this for myself. It's actually a very, very, very late wedding gift for two very dear friends of mine. He is a former Marine who, on more than one occasion, has some experience with these aircraft. And so he is very fond of it, and my other friend, or his wife, was my former roommate, and she's an engineer. So all good engineers have to be nerds in their own right. Oh, fine, there we go. So when this is done, this will be very carefully packaged, or I will find someone who is going to visit them. I live a couple of states away. Alright, this is going to be a pain in the butt. Okay, we're going to grab the mounting point there and gently control stick. Okay, that's everything we need for the cockpit finished. And everything we need for the engines finished. So again, next is fuselage assembly, which we cannot currently do. Wow, this kit's going to actually go very quickly. The next step I can do right now is wings. Yeah, this is going to go quick. I'm okay with that. I like getting kits out of the way quick and get through some of my backlog. Okay, so engines, we're going to let that sit for a couple more minutes, and then we will put it all together. I'm not going to grab that with my fingers. Definitely do not grab a airbrushed component with your fingers. That'll actually work. That was weird, but it'll work. Don't grab them with your fingers for about, at least say 4 hours or so. What you end up with, you have the ability to put the next layer of airbrush coating on, the next coating of paint on relatively quickly compared to hand brushing. But what you don't have is a fully cured paint surface. So if you're not careful, you'll end up with your fingerprint, which if your finger's clean, you'll end up with your fingerprint in the paint. If your finger's not clean, you've been messing with paint or you've been touching other painted surfaces, you will end up with a nice splotch of mismatched colored paint in your model, and you're not going to be fond of that fact. Okay. Okay, I skipped a little bit ahead. I've cut all the wings off of their sprues. It's actually a piece of it still there. Deal with that later. I'm going to put the wings together. Now, lowers and uppers. Actually, maybe I do need to touch this now. Interesting. I do. Cut this little nib off carefully. Okay, so one of the big quality areas that people frequently mess up when doing this is the leading edge of the wing. This one is not terrible. It's definitely going to need some sanding, some trimming. But I can get it assembled. Can I get it assembled? Yeah, I can get this assembled. We want to, actually this kit's not the greatest for this because of the way this curve works at the end. There's actually quite a good bit of gap. I will put it together in a second as soon as I got this burr. And then I'll show you. So, come on, get you situated. That gap, we are going to have to sand and fill the crap out of that. Which is going to be a nightmare situation. The rest of it is actually okay. So that wing's doable. Sorry, stick. There we go. This wing, don't worry, I'll blow it off before I actually glue it together. And that's not bad. It's definitely gonna need taped together while it's curing. This is one of those ones where we're gonna hit it and then we're going to leave it alone. We're not going to touch it. So let's go ahead and get some glue on her. Not a huge fan of that. As I said previously, we have to wait half a year for this to go. Hoping relatively soon to have that engine buttoned up, those engines buttoned up, and the cockpit put together with the stick. The A10 kit does not have anything integral to the wing, thankfully. So it's one half and then another. Some of these kits you have to watch out because there will be integral components that have to be placed in the wing during assembly. Landing gear bays are frequent if you've got a tricycle landing gear with the wheels coming out of the wings. Fortunately, the A10, despite having a tricycle gear, doesn't have this feature on the kit. We're just going to liberally drop glue where the mating surfaces are. Not too much as to go crazy, but enough as to give us a good contact. Flip over. This is where the tricky part comes in, of not getting your fingers in the way. I'm trying not to make a mess. Okay, we got it. I actually glued all around there for nothing. Yeah, that goes on afterwards. We'll leave it alone. If I start trying to brush it off, it's just going to glue paper towel to the wing. We're going to go right in there with tape, press it together, and wrap it around. I'm going to do relatively quickly on this to give it the least amount of variation while we do it. Do one closer to the midspan of the wing. I forget how many hard points are on the A10, it's just crazy. And one on the aft section of the wingtip. And the wingtip device. Hopefully that's enough. We are definitely going to have to fill and sand that. That's going to be a problem. That's a big gap. That's about 1/16 of an inch. Doesn't sound big, but it is. Okay, that should take care of all of that. Rest of it looks happy. We're going to put it way out of the way up there. I can't get to it. We're going to learn a lesson on this wing. We're going to go down here, jump over, and keep going. Wing length. Wrap around here, since where it contacts down, hit the button, over, hit the button, jump from here, and across this face right here, flip over, and screw it up. Okay, and there we go, we're good. Work it down, If you've got glue on your fingers, try not to touch too much of the plastic. The way this glue works is essentially kind of softens it together. Does that make sense? It's a weird, bizarre thing. But if your fingers are coated in the glue, go wash them before you continue. Because if you start smearing it everywhere, you'll actually weaken and soften the plastic, and you start smearing plastic, and well, there goes all your surface texture. Have fun with your scribe putting all the lines back in. Actually, made that too long. Like that. Come around the back. Tighten it down. It may or may not work. How are we on this? We're okay in the flaps. They're going to have to be filled and sanded again as well. Okay, there's both wings. Alright, while the glue is flowing, do I want to put the cockpit? I want to put the stick in right now. I probably do. I'm imagining this is as hard to see on the camera as it is for me. In real life, where did my tweezers go? There. Okay, paying attention which way around the stick goes. And dropping it. And carefully and nicely into your nacelles. Does that work out? Yep. Okay, stick is in. Oops. Slide it to the floor. It actually is backwards. I'm going to flip it. Sometimes it's good to double check for that explicit reason. There we go. That looks a bit more realistic and nice. Otherwise you had your wrist cocked. Okay, that's the cockpit. Ready for detailing. These guys. I was waiting for this. Okay, we're going to come in, drop on the tabs, but also drop around. Not going to do too much glue here. If I can help it. I got a little bit happy on the last one. There we go. Put it there. Okay, remember what I said, don't touch the painted surfaces. There we go. One. Two. I'm gonna just nudge that on the edge. I didn't really touch that with the airbrush. There's not any paint. And it's something I can get to afterwards. Okay, there's that done. We're going to stack them vertically. I'm going to give them a couple minutes while we look at the rest of the... Okay, so we had landing gear there. Wing devices, I'm not going to put those on yet. Empennage, we can get going. Okay, we have the empennage cut out. And while we're here, let's talk about something every single one of these companies does. It's really annoying. This. Velling 1986. Wow, really? So, this is nice and raised. You can catch the end of my X-Acto on it. Not great. It's coming off. So what I found is the easiest way so far. I'm actually not able to do it here. I'm going to have to do it slightly off camera. But so essentially you get your X-Acto You just run it along the edge, take up the layers of plastic gently, and then sand it. Nice and smooth. Try to do it with it on flat piece of something. Bear with me here. Alright, there you go, no reveal. Done, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So I'm going to put the edges together. Or, sorry, I'm going to put each of the empennage sections together. I am not going to attach them to each other yet. Again, panel lines. So, it gets a little tricky when you've got it fully assembled, which I managed to pull off with the F4, but I'd rather do it in sections. I think I will likely do that this weekend. May or may not be in this video. There we go. Dab there, dab there. No kids, I don't mean that kind of dab. Okay. Empennage section numero uno. That's together. Same thing, check your leading edge. And tape together. Can't believe how fast this kit is going. We're motoring through this. I have to start picking which one's going to come in next. I'm going to do one for myself next. But after that one, I do have Memphis Belle to do. And along, down, back, across, nice and quick. Make sure it's the right way around, and two together. Slide it in. Still make sure there's none on your fingers. Don't want to do that. Tape down and across. Tight. Tape. Down. Wrap around across. Two horizontal stabilizers. Alright, let's do the verticals. It's both the males. There's our female. Squiggle. Down from there. Across. There, put it together. Done. Okay. And tape. And tape. Haven't glued this one yet. Okay, we'll do that first. Squiggle down. And it is nice to have an afternoon off, I will tell you. I have to go to the dentist this afternoon. Don't neglect the dentist, people. It's not a good idea. Okay, tape together. There, tape together. Okay. So this one will be with this one. When I put it together, this one will be with this one. Easy peasy. We have wings, we have our empennage sections together, we have our cockpit together. Not ready for the fuselage yet, so we have to put the cockpit in. Then we're going to have to do the landing gear once we've done that. I think I'm going to carefully put together our nacelles right now. Very, very carefully. Nice little bead of glue down the edge. Again in here. And I'm going to dot it there. I don't know if we'll need it around. Let's go ahead and touch here. I don't know if it'll contact. We'll try. Just giving it a look over, make sure everything's okay. That way, make sure we don't need to sand anything. Okay. Carefully. Up. Okay, very careful. There's enough slack on these that you actually can get a misalignment. So take some time here to get these aligned correctly. Thank me later. And as with everything else so far, oh yeah, that's misaligned. But I don't know if I can fix that without the knife. So we'll just go ahead and tape it. This section. Ooh, you are not a good fit, are you? Let me see if I can work some magic here. Thank you, sleepy kitty cat. Nope, she's upside down. Okay, that'll have to do for now. We'll correct it. We'll fix it in post. B, gently. B, around the lip of the fan down there. And now we'll put together the other nacelle. Careful. Yes, and that tall. There we go. Okay, we're making really good headway. I think our total build time's probably 2.5 hours so far. It's not bad. Might sound like a lot. Don't feel bad if you're going faster than me and it doesn't look quite as good, or don't feel bad for me if you're going faster than me and it looks better. I'm happy with this so far. I'm going to do that just at the inside. The glue doesn't particularly like to stick to the tape. It seems to react best with plastic. Okay, so we've got engines, cockpit, empennage, wings. Anything else I can get a head start on. I do not want to touch landing gear yet. It seems like landing gear is the only other thing other than the fuselage that needs to be done. Hard points. Do I have to assemble the hard points? Somewhat, not terribly. Jamming pods. I'm going to do all the munitions last. Yeah. Munitions are like 2 pages of this instruction manual. And we're still stuck on wings. Okay. Yeah, we're making excellent headway. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to detail the cockpit in the way that I detail my cockpits. And anyone can flame me in the comments if they want. This is just the way I do it. As I said previously and in the introductory video, it only has to look good to you. And I don't look at the cockpit too much. So we're going to start by realizing that that's stopped up in the center. I don't know if we're going to be able to save this to paintbrush. Maybe. Nope, we're getting some play out of it. Yeah, it's coming back. Just work it in there. Try to take good care of your paintbrushes. Otherwise you go through them like water. Oh, hold on. That's actually too big. Use a smaller one. There we go. That'll work. And it's not nearly as badly gummed up. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to dry brush some silver. Apologies, just bumped the table. I'm going to dry brush some silver into the control panel to make it look like it's used and worn and has exposed metal. Gotten rid of the coatings that protect it. So I'm just going to switch over to my tester's paint. So this should be aluminum. Yeah, flat aluminum. And we're just going to very, very carefully do this. I'm going to dab it in there. Wipe it. I'm only getting a little bit. Actually a little bit too much. Keep going. There. Very lightly touch it. It's a little bit heavy to start out with there, but it's working. Very light. Very light. Bring out some of those details. Those gauges. Up panel on this one. Just a little more here. I need to reload this. Leave as much of it as we can. The light is not helping right now. Across here. That should be about it for that. Get in there a little bit. Single fine maybe. Make it look a little bit worn, you know? Seat cushions typically aren't worn in silver. Oh, I actually missed a spot with the black. That's not good, right? I have to touch that up. Touch that up for a second. And do the stick. Careful, if you did just put it in not that long ago. Okay, so now we have our gauges. You can see some of the buttons and things.